Hello everyone, welcome to this video. In this one we're going to work on this particular exercise available from the Microsoft documentation where we're going to configure backups for Azure SQL Database. For this particular one, Azure is actually giving you a sandbox. What you just need to go and activate your sandbox and you will have access to an Azure environment. Just note that you don't need any subscription, nothing like that to do this lab. You just go there, you accept the terms and conditions and just allow permission, and you will have this environment available to you. And you have some restrictions. You can have 10 sandboxes in every day. Tomorrow you can request for more. But this is a great way to practice some hands-on if you're especially preparing for any kind of certification. It's going to be an excellent option for you. So let's see how to use the sandbox environment. So my sandbox environment is activated, and for some of the stuff you may need to go to the portal. For this one, this on the right hand side, we already got a Azure Cloud Shell enabled, so that tells me a major portion of the lab will probably be using the Cloud Shell for our work. So what we're gonna do, although the default SQL database configuration includes automated backups, most organizations will modify the default setup to tailor to their needs. Okay, so we can create a SQL database, and Azure is already giving you some commands over here, or Microsoft is giving you that you can run, and again, these are your PowerShell commands, and this is PowerShell window. It's blue. Usually if you're in the Azure CLI, the default background would be black. Okay, all right. The main thing that we want to do, we're going to set the retention policy, retention to 28 days, and the backup retain 4 weeks. So that's all we need to do, really. So you can copy this first portion of the command and paste over here, and then we're going to study what we are really doing. Okay, so first we are creating a server name, and what it's doing, ERP server underscore get random. That's a PowerShell command. It will give you a random number that will be prepended to this name. And then location, you are getting the location from dot location, whatever resource group we have. From here it's going to get the location, and after that this particular command is going to get the credential for DB admin. Okay, so you can hit enter, PowerShell credential request. Now what is the credential do you want to use for the DBA admin? So let's see if I have a let's just create a password. So PA55W dot RD1234. Okay, that is what I'm going to use as the password. And let's see if I can put it over here. Best hit enter. So we have got that. Okay, and the next thing we want to do, we want to run this new SQL server, which is going to create a SQL database server. Okay, where you can store databases, create tables, do whatever you want. But if you want, what it's doing, again, the command is pretty simple. New SQL server, you're providing the resource group name, and learn whatever that is the Azure is created, and a subscription where you have access to this particular resource group, and the location will get it from the command that we ran previously, and it's also going to get that credential that we have created in the previous step. Okay, so now hit enter, and it's doing its stuff. And while it's doing, let's copy some of it and let's go to our subscription, or go to my Azure environment. I'm just gonna search for this particular resource group and see if I have anything available that is remotely that. So let's over here, directory, default directory filter. I'm just trying to see if if that resource account is showing up in here, and I do not, why do I not see it over here? Status, all available. Usually they show up over here, and a lot of times okay, let's follow the direction and see. Okay, so this one looks like that command is successful, and it installed, it created a resource group name. Here is my server name. It's deployed in the West US. This is my DB admin. Server version is 12.0. Fully qualified domain name is this: SQL Server 105.175.402.database.windows.net. Here's the resource ID. Something that you should kind of understand how they are defined. It starts with the subscription, then the subscription ID, then the resource group, then the resource, the instant, like the SQL instance, and then you have what type of instance, all of that. Okay, and public network access is enabled. So I guess we are done with this one. So now we have database. We can create, we have the database server, we can create a database. So this command, new Azure SQL Database. So last one was new Azure SQL Server. This time we're going to run the new Azure SQL Database. It's going to create a database for us. So let's just run this one, and it should create a database. And again, we are selecting this particular resource group, and server name is still coming from what we created at the very beginning. Okay, the server name. Alright, so once this is done, they're saying go to the Azure portal. On the home page, select all resources, and then EPR in. So that is where, maybe from here, go to Azure portal, see if it's taking me to some place where I can do some stuff. So from here, no, I don't see that available. Okay. Now I got it. So now once you click on it, so you see the two default directory is showing up. So we need to go to the Microsoft Learn Sandbox directory. So all you need to do first, all resources, look for that. So go there, and in here now these servers are showing up. Okay, so that's make sure that what I did, you do it too. So if you have multiple subscription, then these resources are not going to show up. So you have to go to the right subscription, to the right directory. So in this case, this is the directory that's got created while we were doing the lab. So once you're here, now you are already looking at the resources. So the EPN server is showing up, right? So this is the server. So you can now go to that one if you like. So what they're saying, configuring the database retention. So they're just going to the setting and manage backups. So once you're here, this is our SQL server. So under here, where is my manage backup? So sometimes if this list is too long, you can search for it and it will show up. Now in this manage backup was really somewhere here, like setting the third blade. So manage backup, we're just gonna click on it, and it looks like as we know that the default is 7 days backup. That's already enabled for us. Okay, it's a SQL server manage backups. It's already been set up for us. That's amazing, right? Now on the configure policies tab, select SQL ERP DB database, and then select configure retention. So let's see, configure policies. So select this one. Okay, so once you select this one, like these buttons are now not enabled, but if you select the database itself, this configure retention has become now enabled. You can click on it. So if you click on it, it is giving you an option to configure it. And let's see, we need to change that to select 21. The point in time restore, we need to change that to 28 days. So point in time restore. So if you just click on it, get 28 days, and I think that's all you need to configure. Yeah, just send yes. So that's yes and yes. Well, before we move away, really look at it one more time. So now we have configured this. If you really wanted long-term retention configuration, you can choose this one. Monthly LTR backups, which is first backup each month will be saved for the said retention period. You can do that. Yearly LTR backups. So there are multiple other things that you can actually do over here to set up this database. Alright, so here are the configured policies for the backup, and that all looks good. So just I don't need to save anything. I have already set it up, and it should say updating the retention policies. That's been done properly. So we are done with that step. And allow network access to the database server. So that's another thing that you need to configure by default. If you have a Azure SQL Database deployed, it will not allow network access to the server. Okay, so if you want to connect from your IP address, you need to allow that IP address, and the way to do it is go to security and firewalls and virtual networks. Now if you have worked with the storage accounts, your experience is exactly the same. So go to your where is firewall? Firewall is under security. Okay, firewall and virtual networks. You just click on that one and deny public access. No. Setting yes allows connection via approved private endpoints only, and disable any existing firewalls. TLS, let's make it 1.2. Connection policy, default proxy. It looks like I have more that I can configure over here, but here is what client IP address. This is what I think I need to add over here. No firewall rules configured. Connection from virtual subnet specified below provide access to all database. So again, I have nothing configured over here either. So let's see what they're saying. So you go firewall, and top of the page select add client IP. So over here at the top of the page, add client IP is right there. So you can click on it and it will take the IP that was showing over here, right? 99.1.242.211. So that's really the IP address that I'm using right now, and it's putting it over here, and it's going to allow connection from this particular IP address. So under allow access to Azure service, select on allow access to Azure services. So let's do allow access to Azure services. Allow services. I think this is the one. They may have renamed it a little bit, but let's make that one allow access to the server. Say yes, and so this public IP is now configured properly. Now save yes and says okay. So let's come back over here. Let me see if there's anything else I need to add. I'm not configuring any virtual network or anything like that. No endpoints. So just save should do that trick for us. Successfully updated server firewall loads. Okay, so let's go back. And the third thing that they're saying that let's add some data to this database. So if you know SQL a little bit, you can run SQL commands directly. So we can copy this command, and this gives us a SQL query window. So let's look at SQL. So SQL databases. Let me go to the databases maybe, and inside database we probably got the SQL query window. So let's look for it. SQL query, where is SQL query? SQL. No, it's not here. So we need to find it. So we need to be able to run those queries in the settings section, SQL database, and then select the database and select query editor. So we are at the right place. Where is my query editor? So we are inside QUE. Here we go. All right, query editor. So let's close this one and see exactly where they put it. They put it right at the top. We were just not looking at it. So you gotta go to the particular database, then get the query editor. So here we're gonna run the query from the Azure environment. So I don't have any management studio, nothing like that. Okay. So but I need to connect to the server. We can have a SQL authentication, or I can have the Active Directory authentication. Which one do I want? So let's see if they're asking anything. Then sign in with the DB admin credential, the password that we provided. So because they're asking, so let's go and get the password that we created for our DB user and provide the password over here and log in. So now you are logged into that particular SQL database that we have created. And if you look at tables, there is no table, no view. There's some default views and no really stored procedure. So to create a table, we can go and get the create command that they have over here. And if you review the command, it's pretty simple. Create table person, so it's going to create a new table. All person, it will have primary ID, person ID as the primary ID of integer type. Is also going to have first name, last name, and date of birth. First name, last name, character field, and date of birth is a date field. Okay, so once we have that, I can hit click on it and query succeeded almost instantly. So if I refresh, is there a refresh button? Where is my refresh button? There is no refresh button. So let's click, go back, and then come back over here. It threw me out of this login screen. So let's go back one more time. I just want to make sure that my table is created. Hit OK and I'm in, click table, and now here it goes. Now we have the table created, but nothing got any data because we just created the table, but we have not inserted anything. Excuse me. To add some record, create new query, query 2, and here we can insert some data. So that's what we expected that might happen. So now we're still in the query window. So this is the data we are going to insert, and the command is pretty simple. Insert into which table? This is a person table, and this is the three information we're going to put: first name, last name, and date of birth. Person ID will automatically be populated. And what are the values? Lucas, Ball, and 1987 1103. So let's just run this command. Oh, it says the query failed. Why did it say the query failed? So select everything now. So I was probably selected only a portion of it, and that's why it failed. But now either click everything or just click somewhere outside and then hit on run, and it will your query should be successful. So we have all of that with us now. So let's see what next that we need to do. Now you can now run select operations on that database. So I can put this command right here, select the whole thing, okay, and run this. And you see that it's giving us the record back to us. Alright, so we have got that in the results window, displayed the record for the Lucas Ball. We have verified that. And now you have SQL Database that's populated with data. Now you have set up a retention policy to ensure that you have 4 weeks of backups immediately available for restore. So as soon as you have data, Azure starts backing up all of the data immediately. Okay, so that was pretty straightforward so far. So let's go back and just take a look at anything that might be useful. So let's go back to here, overview. So that's the database and automatic tuning, advanced security, and so there are other things that you can also configure at this time: geo-replication, dynamic data masking, auditing, automatic tuning, advanced data security, all kinds of stuff. But let's see what else we need to do. So we are on the next section of it. All we are gonna do, we probably touched a little bit, we just didn't configure in the last section, where we're gonna set up the long-term retention policy. So what we have done so far is the default one, So again, we're going to go down to the configure policy section, and configure retention in the same place, and we'll go to the yearly LTI backup portion. So it's really simple, we have already done that. So now if you go over here, then your where is my backup? I always get lost. Did you guys see the backup? Advanced data security, performance, data. Am I at the right spot? I'm at the right spot, right? So here is my, that's my database servers, and this is my database. That's my database. So let's go over here, configure. How can we get lost so quickly? Let's go back, look at it. Okay, in the database, select the API database and then configure retention. So did we select the database? Did we select the database? Yes, we have selected the database. So where is my configure retention? Alright, you actually have to go in a little weird way. So you need to really go over here to the server first. So once you're in the server gives you the manage backups blade under the settings. So you're still in the SQL server level, you are not inside the database. Do not go to the database, just click on this SQL ERP DB. That is going to give you the configure retention. That's some things a little you gotta know, and you gotta practice it a few times. So as you remember, we configured this point in time restore configuration that we have it, long-term restoration. Now you can click on that one and you can configure the rest. And let's see how they want us to configure. How would you like this annual backup to be kept? So 5 and years. So here they're asking us 5, and then you change weeks to years. Okay, so that's gonna be saved for 5 years with a long-term backup. Alright, anything else we need to configure? No, we don't need to configure anything. Long-term retention. Okay, so we actually configured this one. I don't need to configure. Is the yearly backup is what they're asking us to configure for 5 years. So, and then years, and which week 1 is fine. If you want to choose some other week, you can do that as well, and then hit apply, and now you have a long-term retention policy enabled for you as well. Now that is sometimes required if you have a regulatory requirement where you need to keep your database backed up for a longer period of time. You may need that. Okay, let's see if we have anything else. You can also use PowerShell to configure the long-term retention. Let's see if this is not available, so let's just copy this one, and over here we can open up our Cloud Shell window, and we can run some commands, and let's see if we run this, what happens. So we are getting to the shell. What subscription am I in? Let me just quickly. Default subscription. Let me see what it's doing. So get SQL server. So do I have anything in here? Echo $SQL server. Yes, so we do have this available in here, so that's good. Okay, I think we can work with this. So what we have, so this is going to store the SQL server information and put it in that particular variable. To view the long-term retention policy that we have configured, we can copy this one and run this command right in here. So get Azure SQL Database resource group name you are providing, and then what you are asking, get the Azure SQL Database long-term retention policy. So hit enter, it should give you. So retention policy that I have. weekly retention PTOS P5. Y is the yearly retention, right? And week of the year, the first week. So that seems okay. Then what they're saying, this step will output the retention policy. We know that in this case you see there's only one policy of the master database and one policy for the SQL ERP-DB. Did you see that? Let's see. I didn't see that. I'm coming. Alright, sorry about the noise. Kids trouble. Alright, so let's see what else do we need to do. So we have done all of that stuff, and there is some more stuff that here you can do, like whatever we have done. We could have done this using the SQL PowerShell as well, and that's what we were trying to do. So let's connect over here, and again you can get the SQL server info like that and put that command on there. So that's gonna get all of your server info. And if you want to see, we already ran this command quickly. So this one is gonna give you the long-term command policy, and it says the command long-term retention is not supported for the master, okay, but for this particular database it is supported, and I think that's what we were trying to review. It says the policy output retention policy for all databases on the server. In this case you should see one policy for master and one policy for SQL ERP-DB, but what we saw is not what they're saying. So they're saying in our instance it just says long-term policy is not supported for master, but for the other one it is supported. Okay, so there is some contradiction going on. If you want to see exactly the policy for the particular server, you can provide the server name, a database name right over here. So let's run this command and just study the command just a little. So again we're going to get the SQL database backup long-term retention policy. We're providing not only the server name, we're also providing the database name itself and the resource group name. So if I hit enter, so this is only now presenting me the policy for that particular database itself. Alright, now let's configure the rest of the policy to meet the requirements. To configure long-term policy via PowerShell, we can run this command. So let's come over here, paste, again review the policy. This time instead of get we are doing a set. So that get was giving you the existing policy. Now we want to run the set command. We are still going to provide the server name, the database name, the resource group. Now weekly retention P8W. So the weekly retention are going to be saved for 8 weeks, monthly retention for 12 months, and yearly retention for the 5 years. And which week we are going to have the yearly retention is week of year is 1. Okay, so if you hit enter, the access token expiry is earlier than it's saying something. So unfortunately I have access token that's got expired for this one. So but in your case just run this command and it should take care of this problem. The other thing you can do, you can just still go to this SQL server, just configure retention and do what you are trying to do with this command. So for the weekly retention you're gonna use 8 weeks. Weekly retention you're gonna use 8 weeks right there, and 8 weeks. And for the monthly retention you're gonna how long would you like to do the first backup? So 12 months. You're gonna keep that backup and change that to months, and you can hit apply. So that will also match this to what you're trying to do with this SQL command. Okay, once this is done, you can also again go ahead and run the command for get. No, I don't need the set, I just need the get policy. So let's not do anything over here. Okay, let's see if it's done. Okay, that retention policy is now done. So what I we want to do one more time is get the policy. So copy this command and paste it and hit enter. So it says access, so it's just some access policy is now expired, so we can just refresh it and just look at it on the UI. So here your PITR, point in time retention, that's 28 days. That's the default one that we have configured at the beginning. Then we have just configured the weekly long-term retention backup. Every weekly backup will be retained for 8 weeks. For monthly long-term retention backup, they're going to be stored for 12 months. Yearly long-term retention backup, they will be kept for 5 years, and we're going to take the backup in the first week of the year. Okay, so all that went fairly well. So let's see, is anything else that we need to do? So that's what they're also checking. And the last thing is maybe recover data by restoring the Azure SQL database. So let's see what we can do with that. Alright, in the final sections, what we want to do, we want to confirm the backups are still active, and here's the command that we're going to run. What it's going to do is a get command, so it's just going to give you some information. Get Azure SQL Database restore point, and resource you provide name, database name, that's what we're working on, and you're providing the server name. So let's see if I still have my Cloud Shell active. If not, some of the variables that I have, that's probably lost by now, so we may have to recreate some of them. And let's see, what are we running? We are running PowerShell command, so that's good, but I would think that command is possibly fail because it doesn't know anything about this command. So what we need to do is, let's see, open up in here, okay, and go back to this portion. Here we need to run this command one more time. So here, which one are we using? This one. Okay, just reconnect, and let's see if that lets us do that. Come on, Cloud Shell. It's now connecting to the terminal. I have two windows open. I'm just going to close one of them. Which I'm not using. This is taking longer than usual. So I'm just going to refresh this one more time, just a leave page, and bring up that Cloud Shell. Okay, right now we made a little bit of progress. I still need that curly brace. Yeah, I got it. So now I can start here. So now that one should get the server name, and once that's done, I can not this one. Now this one I can get rid of. I don't need that anymore. We need to see what is going on. So let's paste this command and hit enter. So this is still telling you restore point type is a continuous restore. Location in the West US is the database name, so it's giving us some details of that, how the restoration is going on. So here, so you should see output similar to that one which we just saw, and this is what you need to make sure the restore point type is continuous. That means the backup are automatically happening, so you really don't need to worry about anything. Earliest restore date is this. So what is the earliest point you can go back, so you have that information as well in this output. Now what we're going to do, we're going to drop a table. So that would be like somebody mistakenly doing something crazy with the database. So we can go, let's see, this is the server. Okay, let me see. Actually, I'm just going to click on the SQL databases and go here because we need this blade, and go to the query editor. This time I'm just going to click as logging as this, but this has failed. That's fine. So what we'll do, we'll use this password, and we're going to use this DBA admin account and hit enter. So we should have the query window available. So there's the command that we need to run to drop the tables. So drop table person, so everything we created, it will be dropped, and then you just run the query succeeded. So that's a disaster for us. Like it's now completely gone. To check the tables of the database, new query, and run the following command to list all tables in the database. So we can then, once I have this done, then I can run that whole thing here to get all of our results, and I see nothing. There is nothing there. So if I click on tables here, there are no tables. There was only one table that got deleted, or we dropped it. You should see no results because we have deleted the person table. So we have already done that. So now what we want to do, we want to restore it. So run a point in time restore. So what we want to do, from overview page, we're gonna go to the restore. So let's come back to overview, and here is my restore. And again, some of their options, they will be either on your left hand side or some of them over here. So just kind of get yourself familiarized what to find and how to get to those options pretty quickly. So here we're just gonna click on restore. So now point in time is what we are dealing with here. So here's the restore point and time that are all selected. Database name is selected. Want to use SQL Elastic Point. I have no compute per storage. I'm kind of good with all the defaults, and I can possibly create it. Let's see if they're asking us to do anything more. Restore point select time 10 minutes ago before you drop the person table. So let's go back. Yeah, so right now, 6 minutes before the current time. So this is probably okay. So database details, target server, ERP server, elastic pool none, pricing tier default. So target server is the only other thing. Let me see if there is anything. Okay, target server is not even a thing for us anymore. So database name is another thing. Let's see if they're asking us to do anything. Okay, database name ERPDB restored is what they're asking us to do. So ERPDB, instead of this name, you can call it restored, and there we go, you have it available to you. Point in time, so this all looks good. And here, target server elastic pool. Target server, if you see, it's not okay. Target server is actually grayed out for us, so it's that server that's been selected. So that's good. We got that, and all we need to do is hit OK at this time, or review and create. Okay, and say create. So this is restoring my table, but is restoring in a new database. Okay, you are not putting it to the old database right now. What we're gonna do, it's going to put it in this database and not in the old database. So once this is done, so let's just give it a little bit of time. It shouldn't take too much, because you know the database itself, we really don't have anything. It's just really nothing in that database. So as soon as it's done, we should be able to get inside that particular database that's been restored, and we should see the persons table. So while this is happening, let's read what else we need to do here. So again, we'll go to the new database, and we're going to run this command, and we should be able to see the person table, and then we can run some command again. So that's how you can restore a database. So that's probably be the end of this. Like, next is summary, so you don't have to worry about anything else. So what is the striking difference between the way you back up your SQL data versus the VM. For VMs, we use the recovery services for both for database backup and for failovers. Here for SQL, we really did not interact with any recovery services fault at all. Everything is built in at the server level, and on that server level, let's actually go back. In that server level where we went, we had the backup somewhere here available to us, right? Active Directory, SQL databases, pool, auditing, log. Where did we do our backup? Manage backups. Is that what we did? Yeah. So manage backups was here, and in here it already showed up your SQL DB, and we clicked on that, and then we did our configurations. We really didn't have to go through any like creation of recovery services file, anything like that. And then when we are restoring, again, it's pretty simple. We went down to a database. So from here, this time here is the SQL server. So we went to the SQL databases that showed up. We clicked on that one, and only thing that we did is click on the restore point, and then we are just going to a particular time when we want this to be restored. We just choose a different name for the database. So once we have that and we're happy, we can rename the existing one, and then the one that we're creating will rename this back to this, and that will become our primary database, right? So everything is seamless and nice. So just practice the whole thing, just like I did, and you'll struggle through in places, lots of things, lots of places that you have to go, but overall it's not too bad, not too complicated. So let's wait for a few minutes. As soon as this is done, we think we can end that lab at that time. Alright, it's taking a little bit of time, but now over here under the server databases, I see both of them are showing up. The SQL ERPDB that we created and SQL ERPDB restored that we are restoring at the moment. Okay, and it says the status is restoring. I'm going to give it a few more minutes. It's been 6 minutes that it's going on, the restoration process. I didn't expect it to take that long, but it's taking a little bit of time. So once that's done, we'll go back and we'll go inside this database, run a query to make sure our personal database is available, and we'll end the video at that time. Alright, so it took about 8 minutes for me to do the whole restoration thing, and what I can see now, both of the databases are now saying online. So now I can click on this database, okay, and again I go to the query editor. I should be having the same password, so let's just see, make sure that it's still using the same password to log into this database. So let's do that, and there we go. So click on table. Here's my person table, and so if I do a select star and then db person and run this command, have a star from, okay, so you can write a proper syntax, and there we go. So we have our table recovered to us. So that's all, my friends. If you're studying for the exam, again, good luck. If you like the video, leave your comments. I know this video is like a working session, so hopefully if you're stuck just like me, just leave a comment how I can improve, how the way I did it, and have a good day. Thank you.